time for talk about games. Played by Ryan and Mike. A modern, a retro video game show. Yes, we talk about games and sometimes other stuff like Star Trek. It's a blast, our gaming podcast.
Hello and welcome to another Talk About Games. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Mike. Today we're talking about Red Dead Redemption and Diablo Immortal, which I didn't know anything about. I know all about the original Diablo that I would play back in the 90s. That's the one I loved. I did a stream once of Diablo 2.
Yeah.
And I played a little Diablo 2, but here certain games, Super Metroid,
Yeah.
Diablo 2, certain games are like, if you are not an expert, they're like, why aren't you going left?
Okay,
It's one of those.
here's my Diablo was a game that I loved, and everybody out here ruined it for me. And then Blizzard went and ruined it again with Diablo Immortal. So this is a franchise that has been twice ruined for me.
So at first I want to hear about how they ruined it.
Okay. Yeah, you. No. So Diablo 1 comes out and the internet is new. Mm-hmm. And I had
It was Diablo 1, like 93 or something like that.
later than that. I don't know.
95, yeah.
Pretty around Warcraft 2,
Yeah.
shortly after.
That's when I was playing all that
Blizzard
shit.
North puts out Diablo, and you're going and you're fighting the skeletons, and the butcher comes out and goes, "Oh, fresh meat," and all that.
Yeah.
and you go into the caves, and
And there's the Identify guy.
Deckard Cain.
Yeah.
stay a while and listen.
There
you
you
know,
go. That's what I
all of
wanted.
that, right? It's awesome.
Yes.
And you got the wizard, you got the warrior, you got the rogue.
Yeah.
You get the three.
And you get those little potion bottles.
Yeah,
And then you go
they
to-
make the little like liquid sound.
You go over to the witch,
yeah.
and she gives you like scrolls or something.
Yeah, she sells scrolls and magic books
Yeah.
and sometimes staves.
And then you know what you do? Then you identify the stuff that you picked
Yeah.
up, and then you know what you do? You walk back and you go back down into the dungeon.
Yeah.
And then you go back down into the dungeon and then you go level by level by level, and you're fighting the skeletons, and then you eventually get to a guy who's my favorite guy, and his name is Garbad, and he goes, "I am Garbad," and he says some shit to you, and it's
Yeah.
great. I love Diablo 1.
It's great.
Diablo 1.
And at the end, you fight Diablo
Mm-hmm.
in hell. You're in hell. You fight Diablo.
What more do you want?
And you win. And then you play it on harder difficulties, and it goes on and on and on. A lot of fun. We're not talking about builds, character builds. We're not talking about attack rotations. We're not talking about it's suboptimal. This is suboptimal play. We're not talking about that. We go, it's like, oh, I got a new sword. New sword's better than old sword.
Right.
Isn't that great? And I don't have to sit there and like, oh, if I play this game and freaking play it for 10,000 hours, I could have a better sword.
Why don't you have the You know what's another game that's like that, that's annoying to stream, is Symphony in the Night.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing. Why don't you the sword choices you're using, that's suboptimal. That's exactly. It's suboptimal is the fucking term.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, why don't you go kill 100 of those fucking Smees in the library so you can get the Chrysogrim?
You know what's suboptimal? The size of their penises.
Yeah, it irritates me so much.
Like, I'm fucking tired of their fucking shit. How about this? Shut the fuck up. And I'm going to sit and play the fucking game and just don't talk.
So then Diablo 2 comes out, and it's bigger, it's better.
Yeah.
You're in the Egyptian things, you're in the jungle.
Yes.
You're in all these places. It's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And
It is a cool game.
and then there's like sockets on the weapons, like you can make a fire sword and stuff.
But they just released a new version of Diablo 2.
Yeah.
And so that means that they looked at it and they were like, there are things they're admitting are wrong about the game and that they're
Right.
fixing.
So Diablo 3 comes out, and I kind of like bounced off of Diablo 3 because the community that kind of ruined Diablo 2 was back for more. And Diablo 3 happens, and I know people like it and all of that, but I can't be bothered with all this forum bullshit, frankly. Right? So then I'm like, okay, well, there's going to be a new Diablo game.
Right.
But then Blizzard
After 3.
After 3.
Okay.
But then Blizzard immediately shits the bed because in the presentation where they announce it, they're like, hey, don't you all have phones? because it was going to be mobile only.
Nobody wants that.
And not only is it going to be mobile only, but it's going to be co-developed with NetEase, which is like a Chinese company that makes crappy mobile games.
And also, by the way, to be fair, we did do a whole episode. I think it was one of the main episodes. I don't know if it was a Patreon where we talked about mobile games that we like.
Yeah.
So it is possible you could do it and do it right, but I'm assuming this is not done right.
It's not. And so here's the problem. If this was just a new game that came out, if it wasn't Diablo, it's like a very high quality mobile game. Like in terms of like the graphics, which you could definitely tell it's a mobile game from the graphics. But in terms of like what this game offers.
Is it as high quality as Raid Shadow Legends, though, is what I want to know.
Yeah. But immediately you're looking at it and like Diablo 1, Diablo 2, and even Diablo 3 feel good. There's a level of quality in the menus and the controls and how your character moves, and it feels like durable. You don't feel like the game's going to crash at any time. This game, forget about everything I'm going to talk about with microtransactions and currencies and community bullshit. This game is not the quality that prior Blizzard titles were. I had it crash on me.
Oh.
I had my magic get stuck and I had to like alt tab. Like it would like think I wasn't in the window. It's just like weird. I've gotten like stuck in dialogue boxes.
Because what happens with stuff that's mobile is everybody just continually complains about the microtransactions. But I like that you're going first for there are functionality problems beyond just, it's not just microtransactions. It's like this shit is broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, they went back. Diablo Immortal was supposed to be phone exclusive. And they changed it to also be PC. Right? And you can tell that decision came late. Because there's like places, like this is a Blizzard game.
Right.
This is a game that you don't get higher than Blizzard in terms of like PC gaming, like quality. Like they're supposed to be the Rolls Royce of PC games.
Sure.
Right? It says tap here. When the game boots up, it says tap here.
Are you supposed to take your mouse?
On the load screen. Yeah, and then you click with your mouse and it's like, wait.
The tap here means your finger.
Yeah, you guys
you're not putting your finger on the monitor. Oh. So they should have taken that out.
They should have taken that out. It's like, don't make me feel, don't if you want me to spend, I've watched YouTube videos. There's people dumping 10 grand into this game. That's how bad it is.
Why are they doing that?
To get the items and the bullshit.
But why would you want to do it?
So let's go through that.
Okay.
Right. I want to talk about gearing in these type games in general, like the gear you collect and everything. But let's talk about currencies. In this game, there is gold, hilts, platinum, eternal orbs, scrap material, enchanted dust.
Lutter? Is there lutter?
Glowing shards, enigmatic crystals, reforged stones, echo crystals, gem fragments, fading embers, aspirant keys, scorias, rare crests, legendary crests. There's a battle pass that you pay to have access to other cosmetic items and things.
So these are all different ways you can pay?
You got to collect all this shit. But the thing is, like, you can buy it all for money.
Yeah.
Or you could play a long ass time.
Right.
And it's like, for me, here's the problem with that, right? You may be like, oh, well, you could just grind. You could just grind. Go for it. My problem with that is they changed the effort that goes into this game. The tuning of the game in terms of how many times you need to do something to get an item. Mm-hmm. Assuming that some percentage is going to be bought. Mm-hmm. Right? So the economy of this game is so skewed. And you know what else bothers me? You go on a menu, it's like, you know, you have a menu, like, oh, I want to look at skills, or I want to look at my items, or whatever.
Do you think that there's anybody out there that would legitimately be able to handle not dropping a fucking dime on it and actually putting the time in and going through?
Children. That's it. And people with no jobs.
If you don't have other stuff going on, maybe.
If you have nothing going on in your life. But that's freaking sad, right? Now you're building this game that is for people who are not productive members of society, children, or people who want to dump a bunch of money. It's like dystopian in the extreme.
Right. But they're assuming you're going to fucking pump money into it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, this game is more, we talk shit. We're like, oh, well, Fortnite has its battle pass and, the skins and all of that.
Right.
This game makes Fortnite look like a saint.
Wait a second, though. So I'm going to come in here and defend Fortnite right now.
I think Fortnite's fine compared to this.
So the thing about Fortnite is I can sit and play Fortnite and play like rounds of it. I played Fortnite before, and you can go around, you can shoot people and all that stuff, and you get the guns and you drop in, play the game. You don't have to buy those other costumes and stuff. You might even want to because of the fact that you're not forced to. Almost makes it okay because it's like, oh, what would be better is if you could do, and maybe you can, I don't know, if you could do a bunch of things in Fortnite to like unlock, like let's say the Wolverine costume or something or whatever it is. I don't even know. I haven't played in a while. I mean, that would be nice. I don't know if they have that. Like that would be better. But I'm okay with it because I can still sit
Fortnite
and play the game, and it's totally fine. You can play the game and not have to worry about it. Where this is like, you can't progress.
Fortnite
right? Unless
respects your time.
Yeah.
Fortnite respects your time because it's not like, okay, so if Fortnite was like Diablo Immortal, right? You would land and you would have to sit in the landing zone for 4 hours to get the gun rather than just pick it up unless you paid money, right? That's the problem. The other thing is...
That's a big fucking problem.
The other thing is when you are playing Fortnite, all your purchases and bullshit are not in your face. Like when you're actually playing the game. I'm not talking about it on the loading screen or whatever, but once you drop off the bus, right?
You're just playing.
You're just playing. It's not like, oh, you want to buy something? There are quests in this game that pop up menus to buy things. They're like, oh, you're on this quest. Hey, why don't you just buy it? Like,
that's fucking junk.
That's fucked, right? So, and you might be saying, oh, well, if they're doing all these microtransactions and all this, maybe they made the game better with the money that they'd be making. No, like I said, tap here, it's a pile of shit. Like this game needs serious help,
right,
to be as good as prior titles. Now, here's the other thing. When we were talking about Diablo, we were talking about how, like, you went from zone to zone to zone, right? So you went from the like crypts to the caves to hell. You went to all
you go
this,
down the dungeons,
all the dungeons. In this game, it has that.
Where the second game is like open world and you're like walking around and all. Yeah.
This game has that, but the main way you get gear is through these things called rifts.
What are they called?
Rifts.
Rifts. Okay.
And you're in the main town and you get crests, which you can either grind for or buy with the money in the game. And the crests allow you to modify the rifts to make them harder so you get better items.
Okay.
Okay. And the rifts are like instant action, like quick dungeons. Like you are in the town, you're in the main town, you go to the rift thing, you're like, I want to do a rift.
Okay.
You give them currency,
real money, actual money?
If you want to do it more than like once or twice a day, yeah.
So you have to like wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you give them money and then you give them more money because you want to make it harder so you get better items.
That shit is like the time-based thing where it's like, oh, if you wait 8 hours, you'll be able to do one more thing.
Yeah. And then you go into a procedurally generated dungeon and you fight procedurally generated freaking enemy arrangements, and then they just give you the items.
Yeah. They know that people are not going to want to wait, so they're like, I don't want to wait 8 hours. I opened up the game because I'm bored. I've got nothing else to do right now. Like, this is a fun game, but oh shit, that's all I can do right now. Well, in 8 more hours or 24 more hours, I can do the next thing, or I pay $1. I'll pay $1, and then you pay the $1. How about this? Put the fucking game away and go play like Super Mario World or a game where you can just play the whole fucking game. And not go buy like Mario Maker. Go buy a game where you don't have to do this microtransaction bullshit.
And what I hate about it is
the problem is people that keep fucking putting money into this shit.
Absolutely. And the other problem is like this could be the most comprehensive Diablo game ever. It's got 6 classes: Barbarian, Crusader, Demon Hunter, Monk, Necromancer, Wizard. It's got like crazy classes. The abilities are interesting and cool. I want to talk about gearing.
This reminds me of like we talk about Konami too.
Yeah.
And Konami's like, okay, so over here so there was like Gradius 5, which by the way, Gradius 5 is like this amazing fucking game. There's no Gradius 6 yet. Konami looked at it and they were probably like, okay, Gradius 6, we did this amazing game, amazing job. Oh, we can make Gradius 6, you know, it'd be amazing. But that game made however much money.
Right.
And then we look over here. Oh, we made this slot machine. Well, this was way easier to build, and it made us way more money. Let's make more slot machines.
Right.
Pachinko machines.
Sure.
It's the same shit. And then you look over here, and it's like they're like, okay, so we can make another Warcraft 2, Diablo 1 type of game. We could probably do that, maybe. But this, there's all these people that are just gonna dump their wallets out. So let's do that. That's what's happening.
It's sick.
It's sick. It's fucked up. It's like ruining everything.
You know what sucks? Like, Blizzard has had all the troubles with HR issues and,
you would think that right now they'd be trying to like rectify it and be like, here's a good game.
You have to think about like, why did all those employees tolerate the abuse, the long hours, the low pay? Why did they tolerate that? They tolerated that because this was a company that made magical things and places in the past. So they're like...
It reminds me of Disney employees now who work at the park, and they're like, this is the happiest place on earth, isn't it? And they got the big smile on their face, thinking about all the stuff that Disney did in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, when really now the company that owns the Disney name is in control, but people are still like trying to come to terms with it.
Yeah.
You got to come to terms with it, everybody. It's not Walt anymore.
I watched a Disney video of a guy who was a cast member at Disney, and he was talking about, and he was trying to be happy. But he was talking about like some Office Space level shit that Disney was doing. They were like, yeah, can you move your car over to Typhoon Lagoon?
Right.
And then they waited, and like something happened, and they're like, yeah, could you, move it to Blizzard Beach, right. And also, can you need a pass,
right?
And that's going to be $25.
Yeah,
please,
dude. In the 80s, when I used to go to the hotels, and you'd come up to the lady at the hotel, they treated you like it was like you were a god.
Yeah.
You walked up and you walk up and now you go. Last time I went, I walked up to the lady at the hotel and she's like, well, there's a race going on. I don't know if you're going to enjoy yourself. That's what it's like now.
Yeah. They made this motherfucker move his car 4 fucking times.
Yeah.
And they billed him for the privilege of it. The completely empty Typhoon Lagoon parking lot.
So I don't call it Disney anymore. I call it the corporation that uses the Disney name.
Right. So that's kind of how I feel about Blizzard. I feel like Blizzard is the company that charges their own fucking employees to park in a parking lot at a theme park that is fucking closed. That's what that is. Right? It's not like the right, and then they pay them dirt. And then they have to pay rent. Yeah. To Disney. It's
fucked. It's funny to me because it's not. I mean, it's not funny, but it's like all over the board. It's not just that. It's like everything's fucked. Yeah, it's I've talked from Konami to Disney to Blizzard. It's all fucked.
It's fucked. It's like, why even bother? And I'm sitting here like, I'm trying to make a video game. let's see if we can make it fun.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you want to make a fun video game?
And they're
Fuck
laughing.
you.
What do you think this is, 1985? You fucking cocksucker.
Right. That's
They're like, did you see my new pool made of gold?
right.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Did you see the fucking gargoyles made of fucking gold with diamond eyes?
Yeah, right.
Did you see it? Where's your fucking diamond eye gargoyle pool, motherfucker?
I wanted to control good, Mike.
Good control. Yeah.
you.
Okay. You got your game with good control, and I just got $100,000.
Like while we were talking.
So because all these like people just fucking gave me their money.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get the sword.
Because they need platinum eternal orbs.
They needed the platinum eternal orbs, so I just bought a car.
Yeah. So you know what happened?
Yeah.
So you get your platinum eternal orbs, and they click a button in a database, and the number. So I give you like real money.
Yeah.
That you built a fucking deck for the money, right? Like you had to like saw and drill, or you mined coal, or you worked on a fryer. Like you actually like
Worked. Manual labor
that you fed somebody or clothed somebody or
Right.
put a roof over their head.
Would this be a good time to mention that I play Mario and people pay me?
Yeah, but you actually do it.
At least, right?
Right.
I think there is, you know, I'm going to drop in and defend myself real quick.
Yeah.
I think that there is a benefit to society for mental health to
Right.
be able to have entertainment. So when you're watching streamers or movies or YouTube videos or anything that you enjoy watching, even if it's like some shitty thing,
Yeah.
I might not like it, but somebody else does, you know, I'm not, you know, there's a reason that entertainment exists. It's so that, you know, people don't fucking lose their mind. Because if we didn't have entertainment, people would go fucking crazy and like be killing each other, you know? It's there's a reason that we have entertainment.
Yeah. I think the point is that this game, all of this shit that we just talked about is so distracting that the game
Sucks because of it.
sucks. Well, the game sucks because of it, but you're getting bombarded with all this shit. It's like, where's the game?
Right.
Like because it's built for mobile, like the maps are very tiny. It's very like there's little footprints on the ground that tell you where to go. They're like, you know, like you like look for things.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they release this game on mobile? Because it was clearly made for mobile, and then they make another game that has, if they want to do the which I'm against the microtransactions, but let's say that they wanted to do the microtransaction thing, couldn't they build another game from the ground up and make it like a 4 PC microtransaction Diablo game instead of just being like plop plop? That's fucking lazy.
I would say I don't think that Blizzard is a functional game development studio at this point.
With this.
Well, I mean, this was farmed out to NetEase.
Oh.
They didn't even make this.
Fuck.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously had input.
Right.
And they're supporting it and all of that. But like Blizzard's been struggling to make a game. Overwatch 2 was supposed to come out long ago. Still hasn't come out. Right? There's big problems over there.
Well, because like, when I was growing up, I was playing like Diablo, and I was playing, you know, I would play a lot of StarCraft, and I would play Warcraft 2 and all that stuff. And those people that made those games, they're all retired, right?
Mostly.
Mostly 90% probably,
Yeah.
I imagine. Aren't those people gone? They're on a cruise ship now?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, like Chris Metzen and all those guys. Yeah, they're out.
The guys, the real people.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they think about this? That's what I want to know. The people that fucking sat and made Warcraft 2, the people who made it, don't they look at this and they go, you can't tell me that.
I bet you they don't play them.
They don't.
There's no way they play this game. I've talked to ex-Blizzard employees. The one ex-Blizzard employee I talked to was like, yeah, you know, I log into World of Warcraft from time to time to talk to my friends. But if I had to pay for it, I wouldn't pay for it.
Right.
Right? Why would I pay for it?
Right.
The only reason I go there is because my friends are there, like working.
Right.
Right?
Right. Sure.
So, Yeah,
not
I mean,
to play the game.
Yeah,
Just to, yeah.
It's really frustrating. The other thing is, I think the control on the phone sucks. Like, you need to plug a controller in. Like, I tried playing it with the touch screen and stuff.
Oh, so you did PC and you did the phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because with the phone, because like I'm going out to eat, whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm doing the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do it.
Right.
Like, it's a game that requires you to have like pinpoint. You're like targeting spells, targeting abilities, right? And it's like arcadey. It's very fast. Like there's a good game in there. And I guess that's the biggest sin of this. There is a good game in there.
If they fixed it.
They could do it. The character abilities are super cool. The way the cooldowns are super cool. The way you do things, the way the enemies react. There's so much in there. And that's the worst part because they could have made a good game. The people who made this were capable of making a good game, but they had to decide how many fading embers and aspirant keys you needed.
Above was like, yeah, but you got to do all this shit.
Do all this shit because that's what's going to make us money.
And then we need
sick.
We need our quarterlies to be up, not
right?
down.
Because they've been down for a long time over at Activision Blizzard. It is not a good day at Activision Blizzard, and I don't think that this is going to solve the problem. It's only going to make it worse.
Activision Blizzard. We could talk about. Want to talk about Activision? Can we talk about this?
Activision.
So I've talked to Larry Kaplan, who is one of the founders
Yeah.
of Activision, and like this shit. Whenever anybody mentions Activision, and I think of all the shit that goes on with Blizzard and Activision, it's like this was back in an era. So you know what happened with this?
Okay.
So they. There was Atari, and there was the good games, good Atari games, and then there was the bad Atari games, and they knew it. And the couple guys that were making the good games were like, "Pay us more because this is bullshit." And Atari was a notoriously cheap company, and they were like, and then they were like, "Oh, okay," and then they went and made Activision.
Yeah.
Larry Kaplan was one of those guys. And they went off, and that's why you see these boxes that, you know, they all have that sort of. There's the actual card. Oh, it's the other. This is the other version of Kaboom. That's like the blue version because they have like different like label variations or whatever. But all these boxes like have the Activision style to them. So whenever I see these, I'm just like, yeah, they did that because Atari was cheap and they wanted to.
Yeah.
Get paid, you know?
It was a good example. League of Legends, Riot Games.
Yeah.
They're all ex-Blizzard people. They made League of Legends.
Right, yeah.
Now,
so they left, right.
Now they left. Now, granted, they did this.
So I'm saying this has been going on since, you know, all the good people leave.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, because everybody wants to go back to... The thing is that I don't think that anybody 20 years from now is going to talk about what a wonderful time they had in Diablo Immortal. And I think that's the biggest thing that's lost from this, right? I don't think that, I mean, there's so many video games I remember from a kid. It was like this golden age where so much was possible. And it just feels like a product. It feels like you're being sold to. I wonder how many minutes of gameplay I had between a $sign coming up on screen. Right? Like you could probably sit there and look at the footage.
It'd be a good experiment and just go through and time it out.
And then it's like, I wonder if that's calculated. They're like every 10 minutes.
Oh, probably.
We need to like...
More thought probably went into that than the game.
They probably have like data scientists and bullshit that are like planning this out so that they can control you. I don't know. The game made me sick. I was so disappointed. You know, normally I bring games to the show that I like, but this one I was like, fuck this.
Right.
Like I was angry.
Is this your Temple of Doom?
Yeah. No, not even. Not even, right? Because Temple of Doom, sure, that game sucks, but they were trying to make a video game.
It's true. They tried.
Yeah. Right?
That's true.
Sure, and it's hard. Like, I imagine making a fucking Lucasfilm game where you got to answer to all the rights holders and all the crap. That has to suck.
Yeah.
You know, when you got different development teams and you got schedules because of the brand wants it at this place and time. You know,
Right.
it's hard.
That's true.
It's a wonder it even came out.
That's true.
Right?
Right.
Versus this, they have all the money in the world. They have all the fan base in the world, all the opportunities, and this is what you get.
And they squander it with microtransactions.
Right. So, you know, I'm never going to play this game ever again. There you go.
But will you play? I have one question. Does it at all taint like Diablo 1 or 2 for you?
No.
Okay.
No, because it's like entirely different people.
Does Picard taint TNG for you?
No.
No?
No, Picard does not taint TNG for me.
No, that's another discussion for another time.
Because like why would it? Like what's in the past? It's like does
Because when you're watching TNG now, it's like you know what's coming.
Sure.
So that doesn't kind of taint it a little bit.
Right. But you can't be like, oh, I'm going to die one day, so that taints my life, right?
Okay.
Like, you know, like going all the way.
Okay,
This
fine,
conversation,
right. I mean,
right?
that's true.
You know what I mean? It's like everything. The moral that I want to give to the audience for this thing is everything dies. And today is the day that Diablo dies. So there's that.
Today is a good day to die.
Right. It's sad. I don't know. You might have fun playing this game once you give them their money.
What a glowing recommendation.
There you go.
So, all right. My game today is Red Dead Redemption. So
Rockstar. You know, Rockstar has never fucked us.
I don't think so, right? I don't think that's not a sarcastic statement.
No.
Yeah, not yet, at least.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, there's GTA Online where there's money involved, but not
to this.
nowhere near.
Nothing even.
I mean, I guess give them time, right?
Like everything, right? But
Like everything. But I mean, the nice thing about Rockstar is, you know, they make so much money on Grand Theft Auto. Like Grand Theft Auto regularly today, top of sales charts.
Well, so the thing
Right?
about it, the one thing I'll say about like that is like everybody is like, so Grand Theft Auto 5 has been like, you go on Twitch and it's like there's a category for that and people still play it and whatever, but it's like, where's the new? They haven't done anything in a while.
Right.
It's been a long time since Grand Theft Auto 5 came out.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm telling you. If you look at video game sales charts,
Yeah.
you'll see like Mario Odyssey is always like in it
Right.
somewhere.
Sure.
You see like Breath of the Wild. You see like games that are always in there.
Sure.
Minecraft.
Sure.
Grand Theft Auto is always in
there.
the top 10,
Sure.
right?
It's a great game.
So they're still making money.
It's like they don't need to make it yet because they're still making money off the old one.
But when they do make it,
It'll be amazing.
they need to like,
I would hope.
it needs to be a statement.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't blame them for not making it because next gen's fucked right now.
Right.
Until I can go to any Target and buy a PlayStation 5. Fuck it. Don't put it out.
Right.
Don't put it out. Why?
They should just keep working on it in the background, working on it. Like I would hope that they're at least working on it.
Oh, they have to be.
But yeah, when that next one comes out, because Grand Theft Auto 5 is so like, that's a game that people like. It's like their lives. It's all they stream, you know, like, and they have been.
There's
for
like
10 years or whatever.
celebrities
Yeah, it's like a big
that are
fucking
on there,
deal,
yeah.
you know. I started playing Grand Theft Auto with the third one.
Yeah.
So back in college, and then I would play Vice City.
Yeah.
And I love Vice City, and I would love to stream Vice City, but it has the music.
And you can't stream it without.
It's like Michael Jackson
Yeah.
music and stuff, and I don't want to stream it without the music because that's a big
'Cause you
part
wanna
of
hear the music.
Because I want to hear the music. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't think I get. So that's just a game I'll have to play on my own. But anyway, Red Dead Redemption. So I played that game before I started streaming. When it came out, it was like 2010 or whenever the hell it came out. They're probably not getting the year right, but whatever. It was a long time ago, and I played through the whole game, beat it, loved that game, loved it. Then I started streaming in 2015. And I was gonna stream it then, but didn't for a little bit because, you know, whatever. And then they at some point they made the announcement. They're like, "Oh, Red Dead Redemption 2 is gonna come out," and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna wait until Red Dead Redemption 2 is gonna come out, and because that's got to be better, you know."
Right.
And so Red Dead Redemption 2, it's like it's cool when it's cool, but there's a couple things in it that kind of really bother me gameplay wise. And one of the game starts off like very slow and a lot of
Starts off very snow.
very snow, and you're going through the snow and all that. But I could get through that because actually this game, the first Red Dead Redemption, also kind of starts out a little slow, and that's one of my complaints with it. In the first Red Dead Redemption, and when I say first, people are going to say, but it's not the first or whatever.
There's Red Dead.
There's Red Dead Revolver, which was PS2 and Xbox, and there's that game. So that's it's kind of like the Dark Souls situation where there's Demon Souls and then there's Dark Souls, and then all the rest of the games are Dark Souls. This is Red Dead Revolver, and then there's Red Dead Redemption, and then there's Red Dead Redemption 2. If Red Dead Revolver was the first, then Red Dead Redemption 2 would be called 3, but it's not.
Yeah. You hear him? No.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's like chronologically confused over Red Dead Redemption or whatever.
Yeah.
So
everybody, the thing that everybody says about these games are, it's Grand Theft Auto with cowboys.
It's true to an extent.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other things going on in these games that you don't get in. You can't lasso a motherfucker in Grand Theft Auto.
Could you imagine you're driving like...
Yeah. There's no trains going around.
Yeah.
Either you're not riding horses. It's a different thing. And there's different types of missions and stuff.
Yeah.
So the first Red Dead Redemption, this is actually one of the very rare examples of a game where it's a modern game, and I watch the cutscenes.
Yeah.
So I watch the cutscenes because it's all shit like there's one character, and his name is Seth, and he like robs graves, and he's just like a piece of shit. All the characters are all pieces of shit. There's like the alcoholic guy who's just got the top hat, and he's just like this piece of shit going around selling trying to sell stuff to people. He's kind of like one of those guys from like the Wizard of Oz or something, like the Captain Marvel or whatever his name is from Wizard of Oz, or Professor Marvel. And then the Seth the Grave Robber is like this piece of shit character where he's robbing graves as a grave robber, and everybody is a piece of shit. And that is what I like about it. They're all just, the dialogue is all like, fuck you, motherfucker, I'm gonna blow your fucking head off. Right. It's all like that, and I like that, because it's like, I can identify with this guy. He's a piece of shit, like just like me.
I like in Red Dead 2 that they're kind of, like in the beginning of it, they're kind of on the run, and they all like kind of came together from like different places.
Yeah.
So they kind of all don't trust each other.
Yeah.
And it's like all the men are going over here, and you got to watch him and all this. It's cool.
So I want to like ask people something. So I did some streams when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. And there was a lot of things I really liked about it. And the main thing that really bothered me are there's these camps that you got to keep going into. And when you get to the camp, your character just walks like really fucking slow. It's like that fucking clock tower game you play, and you're just like walking like really fucking slow. And I'm like, Red Dead Redemption, the first one, when you get into a town or whatever, you can run. Like you can run over to where you gotta like go to bed and save your game and all that. Like you just keep running everywhere. This is like, you get to a town area. Let me take step by step. If the fucking game that's all I can think about when I play Red Dead 2. I'm like,
and I know it'll take you out of your immersion, right? Because like if we were actually at the town, we wouldn't be running around like Link, like jumping everywhere.
It's a fucking video game.
But it's a fucking video game, and you got to get where you got to get.
And I don't want it to be slowed down to a fucking snail's pace.
Right. So that's something that really suffers in that, and I can't handle that.
I can't handle it at all. And you have a game that is probably a fucking amazing game. But they have a couple little things that slow the game down, and that makes me not want to play it.
Yeah.
So that's the problem I have with that. But but the first Red Dead Redemption. So one of the things that slows this game down, though. So when this game starts, you have a couple missions that you have to do that suck.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that kind of sucks about the first game. So one of the things you have to do is herd cows. Nobody wants to do it. And when I was streaming it, people are like, here's the herding the cows. So there's like the cows, and you got to get behind them, and then you got to push the cows towards the ranch. Yeah. And then one cow will like go out this way, so you got to go like get the cow and bring him in. And it's just like, it takes forever. And then finally get the cows back, and then you have to do it like again. And it's like, nobody wants to do that. I got to tell you something though. that would be okay if that was like a mechanic. That's like a thing that you got to do throughout the game. You don't really have to herd cows in this fucking game. So why they make you do that, especially early on? It's like you want to be like shooting guys and stuff, you know? And then after you do that, then there's this character Bonnie, and she comes out and she's like, "Come help me protect the ranch." And then you gotta like walk real slow around the ranch, and like there's like the dog or whatever, and then the dog has to like sniff somebody out, and it's like you're waiting, and then finally it's like, oh, there's like a rabbit like eating the carrots. Go shoot the rabbits, and then you shoot the rabbit, and then you go around the whole. It's just like these boring ass
It's like
missions,
Yeah.
that start the game, but once you get past the couple missions that suck in the beginning, the rest of the game is amazing.
Okay.
So for one thing, I want to say, so I originally played the game on Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And I was messaging you about
Yeah,
this.
you were.
So I was like, I had it on my Sony Trinitron because I forgot. I was like, oh yeah, this has to be like on a modern TV. And it was like the text is like all blurry and shit. So I was like, whatever. So, but because I wanted to see it on I just wanted to see the 360 version.
That was a good conversation. He messaged me. He's like, "What's like a good CRT for Xbox 360?"
And I knew, I just fucking forgot.
Yeah.
In that moment.
And I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's a good question. And I found this
Because Xbox 360 is that weird middle era where it's got AV, it's got component, and it's got HDMI. How many systems have all of those things?
Yeah.
You know?
I found Mike a CRT that Mitsubishi makes that can do a 1440p.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like a serious CRT. It can do like higher than HD, like almost like 2K video. And he's like, "No, I'm good with what I, you know."
No, tell him the monitor I got. I got the monitor you recommended.
Oh, you did? Yeah. So I recommended, was it an Asus? I think it was an Asus that I recommended, like a Republic of Gamers.
Republic of Gamers.
Yeah, I recommended him like a 250 hertz, like mega 1440p gaming monitor.
It's awesome, by the way. I love
and
it.
it has like a really great backlight. It's really good.
It's a really nice monitor. It's the nicest modern monitor I have. It's not as good as the Sony Trinitron that I play NES on, but it's like, other than that, it's the best monitor I have in my house.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's got HDR too.
So I ended up downloading the game on Xbox One, though. That's how I'm actually playing it, because the game actually looks a little nicer on the Xbox One, like downloaded. Yeah, so people are like, "Oh, are you going to play the original Red Dead Revolver?" I probably will actually stream that at some point, but I'm going through this game. So one of the things I really like about this is the fact that whenever I'm playing the game, you can go to mission, you know, like an M will come up on the map and it'll be a character name. You go there and then you got to go, like, you know, shoot a bunch of people or whatever and get some money and then bring it to somebody and do all this shit. That's all fine, but I get distracted. I'm like, okay, so I know I got to go do these missions, but there's like a pack of coyotes over here, and I got to go over here.
I got to deal with them,
and then I got to deal with these coyotes, and then you can skin the coyotes and all that, and bring the meat.
Is there any good train robberies?
There's some really good train robberies. There's one mission that you do where you have to get on the train and it's like a fucking Gatling gun. So it's like Rambo and like Rambo 4 or whatever the fuck, and you're on the fucking thing and it starts going and you're going, and they know that you're on the fucking train and you got to make it from point A to point B, and they're all coming after you. So on each side of the train, you got all these like horses coming towards you, and you're just like on this side and on this side, and you're just like it's like fucking crazy because you're just like butchering like that all these like fucking people. But it's like, and that leads me into like, it makes you feel like, is your character, how many people do you, I know they're like bad guys, but how many people do you have to murder to the point where you're like, my character's murdered like 100,000 people.
Right.
It's like, okay, maybe all those guys are bad and they're trying to kill you, but it's like, how many people have to go until you're the bad guy?
It's a fantasy, right?
It's a fantasy.
Yeah, but you literally murder like more people than live in this town right now.
Oh my God, it's
Like
insane.
it's like just
It's
go,
insane.
Get them all.
But that's why the game has the speaking of that, it has a fame meter, but it also has an honor meter. So if you do if there's an innocent person, you go up and you blow them away or whatever, your honor is going to go down. So you do pay a price for that. When I played it years and years and years ago, originally, I didn't give a fuck and I was just shooting anyone. But this time I'm playing it, I'm like, well, I've done that already, so I'm going to actually try to have good honor.
Right.
So for the most part, I've been trying to go through this, and my honor meter is almost at the top. So I'm trying to have a different experience than I did when I played it a decade ago.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's that. So one of the points I'm trying to make though is like, yes, you can go from main mission to main mission and go through that, but this is a game where you can easily get very sidetracked, but there's so many things you can do. Like some of the people in the chat were telling me, they're like, I still turn this game on to today and I just sit and play blackjack or I do the 5-finger fillet, like I just sit there for hours and do that. Like there's so many different things you can do. One thing that I have fun doing, and I sent you a video of it, is like you can take, so let's say, okay, it goes like this. Let's say there's like a carriage going and she's getting somebody's getting chased by like a bad guy. You go up and you lasso the bad dude and you take him, you can hog tie him, you put him on the back of your horse. So there are missions like bounty missions where the sheriff will be like, go get these bad guys and we'll pay you. So you can do that. But when it's a thing where you're just out in the world and like there's a bad guy chasing a woman and you're like, okay, I'm going to save this woman. If you bring him back to the sheriff, he's not going to give you money. So you got to do something with this guy. So I'm like, well, you could, and then I'm always like, well, what am I going to do with the guy this time? So one time I took the guy and I found a waterfall and you go along and I'm holding the guy and I'm like walking along like the whole time. And I'm like, I want to see the guy go off the waterfall, so I'm trying to like actually like throw the guy in the water, and then I like back up, and I'm like, you see the guy go down the waterfall, stuff like that. Or the famous thing in the game is that you can take the people like that and you put them on the train tracks, and then you wait for the train to come, and then the train doesn't come, and you're like, why is the train not coming? And then you got to pick the guy up and bring him to another location, and you got to check the map and make sure the train is in the right place. You do all this shit to like line up, and it's like, okay, here comes the train. You put the guy on the tracks, and remember, to get there, this is all on horseback. So you take the guy off the horse, you put him on the train tracks. Here comes the train, and then the dumb horse is like, and walks onto the train tracks, and you only meant to splatter the bad guy, but then your dumb horse walks on the thing, and then they both go, and then your horse blows up into a million pieces.
You sent me that. He sent me a video of his horse just like exploding.
That was unintentional. So here's what happens. So there's these missions that you do where you go out and there's a bunch of bad guys. You go out and you got to take them all out, whatever. As that's happening, though, you might fuck up, and it's like, oh, there was like a sheriff or somebody good, and you accidentally shoot them by accident. You don't mean to, but then the law is after you.
Yep.
So now the law is after you. So you go through that, you escape all this stuff, but now you've got a mark on you for your like reputation or whatever, and you're like, shit. But it's the Old West, so you can go to these locations and you can pay off somebody, and you're like, hey, here's $100. I want a clean slate. And then they do that. So I'm in there doing that.
Yeah.
I'm putting the money down. I'm like, we're all good, right? Here's some money. Like, we're all good. I didn't mean to shoot anybody. Okay. I walk outside. The train fucking smashes the horse into a billion pieces. And I'm like, oh my God. I haven't seen that for 10 years. And I forgot that was like a thing. Yeah. And that's how it happened. I didn't even mean to do it. The horse just happened to walk on the fucking thing.
It's like karma. They're like, oh yeah, you're going to pay off these guys?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it like blew up into a million pieces. It's really funny. And then I started doing it on purpose. Yeah. Because then once I remembered, I was like, oh, that's really fun. I got to keep doing that. So then I'm like going around. Whenever I see like a bridge going over something, I'm like, oh, let me try to throw somebody off the bridge. Oh, that's like the whole game
that's
now.
Awesome.
And this has nothing to do. None of this stuff has anything to do with what you're supposed to be doing. It's all like side missions and stuff. So, and Grand Theft Auto is like that too. There's all these like side missions and stuff that you can do.
Yeah, I've seen people like do like bike tricks and get on top of buildings and stuff. Like, it's crazy.
My favorite thing, so Vice City, like I'll never be able to stream it probably. So I just want to say something real quick. So in Vice City, my favorite thing, there's these motorcycle missions, and there are like these jumps. So like you have to like go down like a thin like alley type of shit, and you're on your motorcycle, and you got to make these jumps, and you have to jump over like 5 buildings and like land it and shit, and then they like grade you on it and all that. There's there's like 50 of those missions, and like, oh my god, those are so fucking fun to do. Like I love that fucking game so much. Anyway, though, Red Dead. So another thing, we talk about like with NES games and this and that, how some games it feels like when you punch somebody, it feels like, you know, like punching through a ghost, or other games when you make an impact, things feel good. This is a game where you take a gun, and when you fucking shoot somebody in this game, it like you feel it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but it's like gory too. Like when you shoot somebody, like the back of their fucking head blows out, and then they have this big like fucking wound on the back, and then the way the like the bodies drop and everything, it's just like, it's like really like they actually put a lot of thought into it. It's gory, but it's like it makes, if you shot something and it just like felt like nothing, it wouldn't be fun.
No.
You know? So I always find it amazing in not just this game, but in any game, how they always get that right in certain games. Like another one was Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
So there's in Half-Life 2 there's a crowbar.
Yeah.
I remember when you like that sound effect, that dong, like when you hit shit.
Oh,
in
yeah.
that, it's like fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of problems with that game otherwise, but like they're like I like half love that game and half have problems with it, but
that's fair.
That's another game. But there's the Deadeye meter. I gotta talk about the Deadeye meter. So some people don't like the Deadeye meter because it can make the game easier. Mm-hmm. So that if you don't know what the Deadeye meter is, and that's why it's called like Red Dead, it's basically it slows down time. So you take your gun and you point it at somebody, and you can hit in the right control stick, I think it is, and then you go into the Deadeye where everything slows down, and then you can mark targets. So it'd be like there's one guy here, one guy here, one guy here. So you can put like little X's on them, and then you let it go, and he fires, and he'll shoot those 3 targets, and it'll hit it. So it makes the game kind of easier. And some people were like, "Why don't you play the game? Do a whole run of the game without it?"
Right.
And that would be. I just wanted to play the game again, but honestly, I think that's a really good idea. It's like when I did the Castlevania thing.
Absolutely.
If I went through the whole game, but I don't know if I'll do it because this is such a long game. But I think that would be a great challenge to go through and play the game without the Deadeye meter. But it is a neat mechanic.
Yeah.
And you know it's fun to do, and sometimes they'll have like a couple bottles, and it's like shoot the bottles and stuff like that. There is another. I'm gonna go through the weapons real quick.
Sure.
So you have the revolver, you have the shotgun, you have the repeater, with you have fire bottles, which are basically like Molotov cocktails. You have the sniper rifle, and you have a knife.
Yeah.
Knife mostly you're using with like animals and whatever, because when you kill a deer or something like that, you can bring the meat back, or you bring the fur back, and you can like make money to do that.
Yeah.
And the reason you want to do that is there's things you can get, like you can get pieces of maps so that you can unlock areas, or you can get new weapons and things like that. Mm-hmm. But one of the things about the weapons is you can lock onto people with the gun to shoot them, but then you can also, if you do not lock on and you just run up and you shoot them, it goes into the cinematic kill, and some of the kills that happen are crazy. It's like almost like Mortal Kombat shit.
Oh,
like
wow.
They'll put the gun right up and like it just like blow the back of your head out, or like just crazy like it's a very violent game. It's the Old West.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be violent?
Oh yeah,
like
definitely.
That's sort of like the point of it. And another thing I want to say is there's also the Undead Nightmare, which is the DLC for the game. I have yet to play through Undead Nightmare, but I know what it is. It's like sort of like a zombie apocalypse type of thing. And I'm not a big zombie guy, but I looked at a little footage of it, and it looks really cool. And a lot of people say that it's one of the best DLCs that's ever been.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to check that out. So hopefully I will eventually get to that. Some people are like, "Yo, why don't you wait until October and like stream it then?" I don't want to.
No, because you're gonna be on to the next thing.
There's gonna be another horror game for me to play. How many horror games?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'll just fucking play it. But one more thing I want to say about this game. So the visuals. I know that Red Dead Redemption 2 is like better visually,
right?
But at the time that this game came out, it was groundbreaking, and I still find myself impressed by how this game looks. And I still feel like I play games today that do not have the animations and the level of like detail that you will see in this game. Like I'm like on the horse and I'm like, there's like a hill and like the sun's setting and stuff like that. And you can see the rays of the sun like coming through like the leaves in the tree and stuff like that. And that might have been maybe the first game I ever saw stuff like that in.
Yeah.
And now that I'm playing it again on a nicer monitor and on like the Xbox One version, you can really just see the attention to detail, the way the animals move and the way the people move. There's like, I don't even know what you call it, but like these sort of cinematics on the characters where, you know, let's say you walk up to the blacksmith in the town. The blacksmith has this whole thing that he does. I followed him around for a while, and he's like, so he takes the horseshoe and he puts it into the fire and he takes it out and he's doing this, and then he like looks over at you and he kind of like nods at you, and then he has this like all these animation. Just that one character has all this stuff that
it's
he
like
does.
a detailed animatronic type thing.
And he keeps doing different things. If you keep watching him, like you can watch him for like 10 minutes and he keeps doing different things. And I'm like, this is nuts. This is one part of the game that they did. And I'm just like, I'm really impressed by it. And I still, you know, another really fun thing to do is, so let's say there's one of those like bad guys. You can like, you can hog time and do all that, but you can also take them and you can drag them behind you on your horse. So if somebody's like a real piece of shit. And some people, it's justified to do that because I'm just going along on my horse, and some guy just comes out of like a bush and he's like shooting at my head, and I'm like, okay, well, fuck this guy. So I like lasso him, and I'm like, I'm gonna drag him, and then there's like cactuses and shit, and I'm like dragging him through the cactuses, and I'm like, fuck this guy, throw him off the fucking ravine, like fuck him. Anyway, I think that this game is absolutely one of my favorite, more modern games. I know it's not like modern, but it's pretty modern. I've always loved this game, and I was a little scared to come back to it. I was like, am I still going to like it as much as I did a decade ago? I love it just as much, if not more. Cool. And it doesn't, other than those couple first missions, there's really nothing in the game that I don't like about it. It's just, I feel like it's Rockstar at their best.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good game.
Yeah, it's good.
So I want to give you an update on arcades, and it's related to games being new or games being old. So I'm working on Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Okay. Which is a great game. But that is...
do you know Marvel vs. Capcom Origins? You ever hear of that? Because I had that. I did a stream of Xbox Live Arcade. And apparently I bought that like 10 years ago, and I don't think I ever turned it on. Anyway, I had that.
So I'm working on that.
Yeah.
And I'm like telling everybody, I'm like, oh, tonight I'm working on one of the new ones. And I set it all up and I have it going, and it's on an LCD, and it has like a VGA plug, and it's like, you know, more modern than Pac-Man, like by far. So I started up and I look at the copyright on it, and it was copyright 2002.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm like, this game is 20 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it's like a Dreamcast era game.
Right.
It's 20 years old, and that's one of the new ones.
Right.
That's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's weird because I've been trying, like, I wanted to play some more like modern games lately, but then I end up playing like something from like 10 years ago, and it's like, well, it's not really modern. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like games really haven't changed much in the last 20 years.
Not that much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of samey.
Yeah. It's weird, like, where, like, when you go from, like, Atari to NES to Super Nintendo.
I mean, we have ray tracing now.
Great.
But
it's nice.
The gaps that it was before were bigger, and now the gaps are becoming smaller and smaller and smaller.
So I was just thinking about that. Oh, it's one of the new ones. It's only 20 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it for the episode this week, guys. I do want to show you this. So as you probably know, because we always mention it, we have a Patreon. So if you guys are interested, our thumbnails that we have for our videos, we get them printed up. Here's one of Zombies Ate My Neighbors and Untitled Goose Game. Here's one of Parasite Eve and Dead Cells episode we did a while back. And Dead Cells is a fun game. And then here was one of the Final Fantasy V and Eastward. So if you're interested in those, you can check them out. And we really do sign them. It's us signing them. It's not some robot signing them or something.
Absolutely. And the art is done by Xander Arnot, who is in our office, and he does an amazing job with them. And no matter what tier patron you are, you do get high-res wallpaper versions of these. But if you're the top tier patron, we'll send you one of these every month.
And that's about it. And also, obviously, there's a lot of other things on the Patreon. Like we have other episodes
Dedicated.
that we shoot. So,
Every week, we give you an extra episode on Patreon.
yeah, so check that out. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. And we will see you next time for more Talk About Games. And remember, it is every Friday, 8 p.m. on YouTube. And you can also check it out on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever podcasts are heard.
Yeah. See you later.
We are waiting for the Dark Souls of fighting games. Let us have it. We're ready.
Soul Edge has nothing on a lightsaber. Like, I'm sorry.
James Earl Jones comes back.
No!
Oh no! Oh!
I don't think kids trade games anymore.
I need that sense of accomplishment, and it wasn't there. And I think that was a major flaw.
The way they engineer these is just phenomenal.
As much as you're into like the comics, I was very into the toys, so I was on like the message board all the time.